What do you know about Tinker versus Des Moines?
Maybe.
What do you know about Tinker versus Des Moines, Andrew?
It's a dumb case.
Yeah, whatever.
It's not a dumb case.
It's a landmark decision in civil liberties.
We decided to ask some people what they knew about Tinker versus Des Moines.
What do you think about Tinker versus Des Moines?
I have one good photo of me, and that's when I was a baby.
What do you think about Tinker versus Des Moines?
What do you mean? I can't.
What do you think about Tinker versus Des Moines? What do you think about Tinker?
He's recording me now. Why?
It's for go.
Yeah.
As you can see, not very many people know too much about Tinker versus Des Moines.
Yeah, it's a very heated topic of debate. Very controversial.
Tell me the facts about Tinker versus Des Moines.
All I know is that Tinker had a little band on her arm, and then she got kicked out of school.
Tell me more. We followed Charlie, but per usual, he just wasted our time.
Charlie was partially correct, though. In 1969, a group of students had a meeting and planned to show their support for a truce in the Vietnam War by wearing black armbands to school and fasting. The principals of the school met and created a policy against these actions and sent home students wearing the armbands. If students refused to do so, they would be suspended.
Siblings Mary Beth Tinker, and John Tinker were suspended from school in 1965 for wearing black armbands to school in protest against the Vietnam War. During their suspension, the students' parents sued the school for violating their children's right to freedom of speech. It appears some people are afraid of this case.
The dissent argued that the First Amendment does not grant the right to express any opinion at any time. Students attend school to learn, not to teach. The armbands were a distraction.
School officials acting on a legitimate interest in school order should have broad authority to maintain a productive learning environment. The 1969 landmark case of Tinker versus Des Moines affirmed.
We attempted to grab another suspect for questioning, but he managed to get away. Thankfully, we managed to recover some of the footage.
The holding case is that the U.S. District Court for Southern District of Iowa sided with the school's position, ruling that wearing the armbands could disrupt learning. The students appealed the ruling to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit, but lost and took the case to the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Tinkers, 7-2. The justices said that the students retained their constitutional right to freedom of speech while in public schools.
He said that wearing the armbands was a form of speech because they were intended to express the wearer's views about the Vietnam War. The court said the First Amendment rights applied in light of the special characteristics of the school environment are available to teachers and students. It can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate.
The Supreme Court held that the armbands did represent symbolic speech that is entirely separate from the actions or conduct of those participating in it. Students do not lose their First Amendment rights when they step onto school property. The conduct in question must materially and substantially interfere with the operation of the school. In this case, the school's actions were based on the possibility of an interference. One did not actually occur.
Significant dissents in this case were Roosevelt's first appointment to the court. Justice Black penned one of two dissenting opinions in Tinker versus Des Moines, stating, "It is a myth to say that any person has a constitutional right to say what he pleases, where he pleases, and when he pleases. Our court has decided precisely the opposite."
Some similar cases are the Supreme Court decision in Thornhill versus Alabama in 1940. It found that an Alabama law that made it illegal for a person to loiter around or picket a business with the intention of inheriting with it was financially invalid and unconstitutionally denied the First Amendment right of freedom of expression.
In another case of Cohen versus California, the Supreme Court established that the government generally cannot criminalize the display of profane words in public places. This visual shows that by protecting freedom of speech, it allows for people to openly protest against America. This visual shows that the first appearance in court resulted in the school's ruling being acceptable, but by the time they got to the Supreme Court, it was ruled that their decision violated their freedom of speech.